This the book of 2nd Exodus, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that at the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonderful and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby he believed shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them from the beginning. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kah Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone, rule web, and a great example to the young brothers in the truth. And peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. Lord, willing, this edifying lesson. This another edition of Measured Out of Time Diligently, and we're going to get into it. Lord, willing, this edifying.
There was this giant explosion, which scientists think is a 1 in 1,000 year event for this sort of volcano. It takes about 1,000 years to fully recharge, so it just happened to be around at the point where it has unleashed a vast amount of its magma in a really explosive way. And it's probably one of the most energetic explosions of the entire.
This the book of Joel, because you see that that could be seen from outer space, man. You know, from the satellites. This the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 30. It say, and I will shoot wonders in the heavens above. And I will shoot wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and vapor of smoke and pillars of smoke. Salaki, and that was an underwater volcano that erupted early in the beginning of this year, and it was a massive one, man. The shock waves went around the world, if I ain't mistaken, man. You know.
21st century so far.
This volcano erupted with a rude shock in the late afternoon local time.
We're all standing up. My hand is shaking.
And a volcano is also an earthquake because once it explodes, it'll get caught up on the earthquake, the damn, however you call it, the earthquake little scale, whatever it's called. You know.
What are we gonna do? Can you guys hear that?
And the thing is, all those islands, the small islands that was around that area, you know, they was devastated. You know, much one said after, just a big volcano, they ain't never give a death toll, how many people was missing. They never came back with no stats about it. You know, they kind of just swept it under the rug due to other things happening, in the earth.
It keeps bursting. Hey, okay. See that? You guys see the smoke coming up? Massive. Ew, the volcano. It's the volcano.
The explosions ever more insistent.
Oh no. Can you guys hear that? Oh my gosh. Man, it's loud. It's shaking the island. Look at all that. That's all from the volcano. There it goes. Is your ears popping? Oh! Oh!
Y'all can come in the patio.
This the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36 and verse 6. Shew new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Let me see. It's verse 7, raise up indignation and pour out wrath and take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Sake the time short, remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. It's a it's that's pretty much the point on that.
Seriously.
Well, the world has seen and felt the shockwaves of a massive underwater volcano on the doorstep of the Pacific island of Tonga.
We turn now to that rare tsunami advisory for the entire North American west coast from Alaska to California.
And from this tiny speck in the Pacific Ocean, shockwaves across the globe.
The blasts were heard as far away as New Zealand and Fiji.
At sea level, the eruption resembled a mushroom cloud, a mass of steam, ash and rock surging out of the ocean 20 kilometres into the air.
Just 70 kilometres.
And that's that pillars of smoke. You know, the volcanic eruptions be one of the pillars. The Lord say these gonna be the signs.
The Tongan capital. It's been erupting for weeks, but on Friday, violent activity.
So like, and a volcano is a mountain. A volcano is a mountain. I want to add that too. Even if it's underwater, it's an underwater mountain.
Increased, including a record-breaking amount of lightning.
A boom could be heard 500 miles away,
with air pressure changes recorded as far afield as Canada and even Scotland.
And the entire region there has now gone quiet with communication knocked out. It's triggered tsunami warnings. This confronting video shows the impact of those swells.
Lavinia Taumoi Piaulatu was on the phone to her husband in Tonga when the line went dead.
The shockwaves from the eruption were felt across the Pacific, with tsunami warnings from American Samoa.
But this type of event in this region is a massive surprise.
Seismologist Dr. Lucy Jones telling us this is the largest tsunami from a volcano she has seen.
This type of event from this region is, you know, these are strange wonders, man. These things that don't happen. And of course this old, you know, everybody already seen and heard about this, but at the same time it's still new, you know.
In her decades-long career.
The tsunami affected millions. The South Pacific Islands, New Zealand, Japan, racing past Hawaii to pound Canada, the US West Coast.
Oh my God!
And pushing thousands of kilometres south to Chile.
More ominous than ever.
What just happened?
Water coming into land. It's never happened before.
Monster tidal surges in Fiji, a domino effect from the undersea eruption more than 800 kilometres away. Close enough to hear the danger coming.
Yeah, like boom and boom, and the people are assuming that this is like a warship going on.
Australians holidaying in Suva also feeling the threat.
We just kept on hearing just massive boom noises in the clouds.
When yesterday's volcano erupted near the island nation, turning the sky black, the reports from family and friends were terrifying.
When you see the video from Tonga of the actual eruption, it is like world-ending, terrifying stuff.
On Tonga, it sounded as bad as a...
Yep, it is. This the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 11. It say, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be in heaven, from heaven, you know. And the scriptures speak about how the earth gonna pass away with a great noise, you know, but it's gonna be way worse than the damn volcanic eruption or something like that. So let's get that in 2 Peter. It's gonna be way worse than this, but it's still a fearful thing, man. The fucking volcano erupting, you know, that loud ass noise, that's scary, man. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. It say, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Yeah, going into those nukes hitting, man. It's gonna be that's how that volcano sound like fucking nukes dropping or something. A nuke dropped. But imagine 200 million missiles drop, man. This whole earth gonna be trembling and shaking and all kind of shit gonna be happening. You know?
Looked.
Oh, holy shit.
Deafening, and for those by the water it could only mean one thing: run. This is why. A tsunami generated by an underwater volcanic shockwave.
The images posted on Facebook show people being driven from their homes. But then, after a few hours, everything went blank.
So far, there have been no reports of deaths or injuries in Tonga, but this was 7 times more powerful than the eruption on December 20 last year.
It has been active for years, but an explosion of this scale only happens here once every 1,000 years.
In Peru, tsunami waves crashed through a market, washing away stalls and goods, sending panicked shoppers running in fear of what might come next. Tsunami sirens were heard in Ecuador, with good reason. Fishing boats at sea riding rolling tsunami waves. In Chile too, sirens blared as swimmers left the beach because of a strong surge of impact stretched to New Zealand, Ecuador, Peru and Chile. The Bureau of Meteorology says those shockwaves travelled at more than 1,000 kilometres an hour, reaching almost 7,000 kilometres to Perth, with the sonic boom heard in Alaska, almost 10,000 kilometres away.
New Zealand too saw the effects of the waves, the water tossing boats as if they were toys in this marina. Some fishermen said they had to run for their lives.
In Santa Cruz, California, the rising tide caused minor flooding.
And although that's more than 5,000 miles away, Santa Cruz was hit hard.
Look at the tables right there.
Whew. Wild waves shoved tables, chairs, and heat lamps on the deck of Zelda's, a beachfront restaurant in Capitola. This surveillance video capturing the massive tide around 9 a.m. Saturday.
Oh man, look at that.
Startled locals rushed to find higher ground as water crashed its way through. A river flooding streets and buildings, including this church. Some were caught out by the rising tide.
It took only minutes for the waves to arrive. The tsunami engulfing Tonga's main island, Tongatapu.
And just to quote a precept, you know that the Lord doing these things because the scriptures speak about how the sea don't pass his decree. And the only way for a tsunami or anything to happen is if the Lord sanction it, man. You know, and give it the go ahead for something to happen for those tsunamis and, you know, tidal waves and things to happen. The Lord sanctioned all these things, man. You know, the Lord created bounds for the sea. You know.
The water rushing ashore into homes.
This is a significant geological event.
Pete, volcanologists say this is the largest eruption in the Ring of Fire since 1991.
It could be days to weeks to months. It's not clear. These Ring of Fire volcanoes, in a way, behave according to a pattern, but sometimes it's really quite individualistic.
It is surprising that it reached the West Coast. The simple physics of it are really unlikely for anything like that to happen. The eruption was very powerful. There are reports that it was heard as far as Alaska. Wow. There were sensors that picked it up around the world. Not just seismic sensors, but sensors that measure sound that is inaudible to the human ear, the infrasound.
So it sent pressure waves in the atmosphere around the globe.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Wow, that is extraordinary.
When I picked up, he started telling me about the loud explosions, and he was like, "Can't you hear it? Can't you hear it?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys be safe." But he said it was so loud, like the windows, he thought the windows were gonna break in the house. And then after that, then shortly after we started talking, then it started, the sulfuric acid or the pebbles started coming from the sky. And he was like, "Oh, it's raining, but it's not really rain, it's like rocks."
The beauty of Mother Nature and everything she gives us, and then
there's the other side of her too, you know.
And ain't no such thing as no Mother Nature. It's the Heavenly Father doing His thing, man. No such thing as Mother Nature. The Lord is the one that sends natural disasters upon the earth, man. And they not so natural. It's the Lord plaguing this place, man, because there is no truth here and no knowledge of the Most High. So the Lord is, things are gonna get worse, man. It's gonna get way worse. The weather's gonna get worse. We living in perilous times. Evil, dark, bad, terrible, great times, man.
Mother Nature, of course, being wild in nature. Obviously, you can see the ocean right now.
And that's pretty much the point, you know. Lord, when this was edifying, that's another edition of Measures Out of Time diligently. Before I go, I want to end to giving all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shem, Yahweh Shai by Shem, Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, rule web, and great example to the young brothers in the truth. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah, Abba, Shalom.